Guys, welcome back in to yet another video. Guys, it is I, your Lord and Savior, back again. Guys, I don't even know what to say, to be perfectly honest with you. Attack on Titan has finally wrapped up its final episode, which aired on November the 4th. Now, a lot of people are anime only watchers who only watch the anime, never read the manga, never saw anything, pertaining to the manga, and may have saw a few things here and there, a few spoilers here and there when they were going through maybe like Twitter and stuff like that, but for the most part, they stayed true to just watching just the anime. To me, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to do and that's what you want to watch, great. For me, I couldn't take it. I started reading the manga after they found the basement. So after season 3 of the series, that's when I started reading the manga. So I wasn't a manga reader off top. I was also an anime only person who only watched the anime from season 1 to season 3. I never watched anything else. That's all I was doing. I never looked at the manga. I never did anything like that. But I was too engrossed in the story and too captivated by the story and the characters and fell in love with that world that I just could not stand idly by and wait so long for each of these episodes to be animated and put out and having to wait on these episodes weekly and all that stuff. That was just too much for me. So I went ahead and took the initiative upon myself to go ahead and read the manga and go ahead and read ahead. So I already knew 2 years ago how this particular anime was going to end, right? So it wasn't much of a surprise for me. Well, let me take that back. It was a surprise because there were a few changes from the iteration of the manga to the adaptation of the anime. So there were some changes in there. But I digress. I've kind of rambled on. This particular video is not about me breaking down the differences between the manga and the anime, or it's not even about me talking about the series itself, because I am saving that for a special time, which is going to be a lengthier video where I'm going to break down the entirety of Attack on Titan and what it did, and basically if in fact it dropped the ball, right? So be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, guys, this particular video here, I wanted to do this here because this particular video was done by a very, very big prominent YouTuber, Moist Critical, Mr. Charlie. He himself also is an Attack on Titan fan, and he basically has some things to say regarding the ending of said series. I heard that this had some weird stuff in it. Let me take that back. Not weird, but his takes were not up to the standard of someone who actually understood the story of Attack on Titan. So I was very interested to actually go into and kind of see what he was saying, and we're just gonna have a good old-fashioned react. We haven't had this in a long time, so we're gonna check this out and see what's going on. But before we do this, you all already know this deal. Guys, if you enjoy the content that is being produced on this channel, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, that like button, as well as subscribe to the channel. Those two things work in tandem, as they don't cost you a goddamn dime, but they do help the channel grow and they help us be seen to more people. So those that do those things, I appreciate you guys and thank you for that. Last but not least, guys, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you guys are up to date of everything on this particular channel that's being posted. And also share it. Share it with a friend, guys. Share it with somebody else who is an Attack on Titan fan. Because I'm quite sure I may say some stuff in here that you guys agree with. I may say some stuff in here you disagree with. But sharing is caring and it helps the world go round. So without further fucking ado, guys, let's do this. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and get into this. We're going to go ahead and try to react to this. And we're going to see what type of takes Mr. Moist Critical, a.k.a. Charlie, has regarding his favorite series, or a lot of people's favorite series, of Attack on Titan. And I sure hope he doesn't fuck this up. Let's go, man.
After 10 years, it's finally concluded. The Attack on Titan series finale just aired last night. And as I've mentioned in the past, this is one of the only shows I've ever watched week by week as it aired during its seasons. It started when I was a young virgin male in college going through my own mysterious anime character phase where I have no doubt I frightened all of my peers into thinking I was some unhinged psychopath. And now, a decade later, I've shed that skin. I'm no longer a young virgin male. I'm an elder sexual deity. Man, what a journey it's been. You're not going to believe me, but I was actually able to avoid all of the spoilers for this ending, which is no easy task. That's like trying to dodge the rain during a thunderstorm. But I did it, and I deserve to be knighted for that achievement.
I don't know. I'm just thinking the reason I paused it, I thought he read the manga. I was under the impression that he read the manga, but clearly he didn't. So he was an anime only watcher too. So let's continue.
There were so many people that were trying to spoil this for everybody. Just a lot of people shaking their fist, bah humbug. I didn't like the manga ending, so now I want to make sure everyone who only watches the anime is ruined for it. And douchey, of course, but not unexpected. It happens all the time. I did not know the ending, luckily. All I knew is that there were a ton of people that were extremely dissatisfied with the way that it wrapped up in the manga.
True.
And that, of course, made me very worried about how the anime would stick the landing, or if it would just fumble and flop like a lot of other anime endings. But I'm happy to say that this was a beautifully fitting ending. I don't think it was perfect. There are still a few criticisms I have of it, but overall I think it is an incredibly strong finish to what I believe is a masterpiece of a show. Not just a
all right, we gotta calm down with the accolades now. I can't, in good faith, call Attack on Titan a masterpiece. I can't. I'm sorry. I just can't. Like, maybe it gets the Game of Thrones treatment where you watch season 1 through 7, and then you're like, okay, season 1 through 7 was a masterpiece, but season 8. So that's kind of how I give Attack on Titan.
Masterpiece of anime, a masterpiece of a show in general. I really hold this series in high regard, and I am so satisfied with the way that it completes itself here. And it makes me wonder, what the fuck went wrong in the manga? Was the community just smoking on stupid juice or something? On that Scooby-Doo dick kush? I don't understand exactly what they didn't like about the ending, because I went back and checked. Apparently, the ending in the manga is pretty similar to the ending in the anime that just aired, only the anime had a couple of tweaks, a couple of additions, and a few minor adjustments, but nothing major. The story beats are still, for the most part, the same from what I can tell. So
he didn't understand. He didn't. He This goes back again. Shout out to Brown's Magic. Shout out to her for saying this, because this was such a valid point. A lot of you anime only people, y'all don't remember the story. Y'all don't. And it's understandable that y'all don't, because y'all had to wait such a long time for the manga to be adapted into an anime anyway. So I get that. I mean, hell, like I said, I knew about the ending 2 years ago. It's been 2 fucking years that I knew that this was coming, right? Yeah, he's right. They did tweak a few things, but yeah, it's pretty much similar, pretty much the same. So again, it's one of those things to where you just didn't understand the story, and you forgot key dialogue that happened that literally is counterintuitive and contradicts the ending itself and contradicts the characters themselves. So I get it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm being nice by giving that as a cop-out for a lot of anime only people, but we gotta wake up at some point and take accountability in that and say, you know what, hey, maybe I didn't fully understand the story because it took so long for the adaptation to occur that maybe I forgot a thing or two, or maybe I forgot some dialogue or some context of the story that doesn't quite make sense or add up at the end, right? And that's what you guys did. You guys fucking forgot. Because again, it takes so long for the adaptation to occur that you guys forgot. But it's cool. It's cool. Let's see what he's saying.
Why were people pissing and shitting over the manga ending? It's a good, satisfying conclusion. The only theory I can formulate up here in my smooth little brain is that people just wanted a 100% happy ending where everyone wins, it's all sunshine and rainbows, and the world is perfect.
It was a happy ending. That's the point. See, that's why we know you didn't understand the story. Because it was a happy ending. That's the problem. This is why we know that you didn't understand the story. Because it was a happy ending. Everybody lived. People got their goodbyes. People got their happy endings. Yeah, okay, other shit is happening, in the world. They're still having to do, play politics here and there and stuff like that. But for the most part, everybody is straight. Historia had her baby. She's good. She's living on an island, the leader of the free world, whatever. Then you got the Alliance still together, chilling, Jean looking for ladies. Reiner still pining over Historia. Armin and fucking Annie, of course, they got together. You got Peek and shit there. You got Levi doing his whole civilian thing and shit. You got, fucking Falco and Gabby planting trees, happy, just dealing with the refugees and you got a pretty happy fucking ending compared to the other shit that we got in this throughout the entirety of the goddamn story. That was a damn good happy ending. Let's be real here. This is what I say. You guys did not get the story. You guys didn't understand the story. You didn't.
And that would never be the case in a series like this. If they did go that direction with a happy ending, it would ruin Attack on Titan. It would run counter to everything that this series has propped up and framed. And I am so glad they didn't take that easy cop-out method. Because they did have a chance. With the way, I don't want to get into spoilers here, but they did have the opportunity to just pull their punch and say, actually, everyone's okay, everything's great, happy ending, woo. And
they did. Everybody in the Alliance lived. They did. What did he watch the same thing that we watched? Everybody in the Alliance did. The only person who did not survive that was part of that Alliance team was Hanji. That was it. Everybody else survived. On Yankapone, the Falco, Gabby, Annie, John, Connie, Reiner. Everybody lived. Everybody. Mikasa, Armin. Everybody lived. I'm confused. Man.
And I'm so glad they didn't do that. This is not a story that deserved a happy ending. This is one that needed a grim but hopeful ending. Something the show has driven home time and time again. That no matter what you do, there will always be conflict, but there can also always be hope. And I love the way that they finish on that note. You can boil it down even simpler into basically war.
They could have done that with Eren completing 100% of the rumbling. With Eren completing 100% of the rumbling, and the only people that were left were the people that were on Paradise Island, they could have still had that whole situation that you just proclaimed. That would have been one of the best endings, with him living with the regret of chasing this freedom, of chasing this goal, and unfortunately having to sacrifice the lives of the people that he said that he loved, and he sacrificed them, and now he lives with that fucking regret for the rest of his goddamn life, while also having issues on Paradis. We must have forgot, again, you guys forgot, that when he broke the walls down, there were people on the island that did not like him for that. There were people on the island who had an uprising against him for that. That's what they should have focused on. Because that would have then still tied into the narrative that regardless of what you do, there will still be conflict. See, that's what I'm saying. You guys didn't really understand the story. You guys are just like, oh yeah, it was a great fucking ending. That wasn't. Because he should have killed everybody. He should have went through with 100%. And unfortunately, if his friends got in the way, like he said they were going to do, it was inevitable we were going to clash and it was going to be a fight. It is what it is. If they would have died in that regard and he would have continued forward and pushed forward and finally got it, he could have been much like Thanos did when he had to sacrifice his daughter. When she asked him, what did it cost you? He said, everything. right? That would have been a beautiful send-off to Eren's character, because it would have shown that regardless of what you do, even though you had this whole guile and drive for freedom, it was still not without consequences. And the consequences of your actions of striving for this freedom was that it ended the lives of the people that you said that you loved the most. That would have been a great send-off. That would have been an amazing send-off. But they didn't. They had a happy ending. So I don't get what the fuck he's talking about. Like, Jesus Christ.
Never changes. Humans are just predisposed to it. No matter how large the conflict is, no matter how great the resolution is, or how long the period of peace is, it's only a matter of time until the cycle starts over again, which is what the post-credits scene alludes to in the finale as well. I just think it is a beautiful, beautiful piece. I think it is an extraordinary work. Now, I do want to talk about it, but I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there's no way I can talk about it without at least slapping my feet around in the spoiler pool. I can't tiptoe around a lot of the things I want to talk about, so this is your spoiler warning here. Proceed with caution, bitch. So, anyway, everything this show has done up till this point, I think, has been executed perfectly. The slow transition of Eren from the hero everyone roots for with a very simple shonen goal of I want to kill every titan so the world is safe, and to take an idea that simple of I want to kill every titan so the world and my friends are safe, and to morph it into what he's become here with basically a genocidal maniac is so incredibly risky, but done so well that I think it is probably the best example I've ever seen of a hero falling from grace. And the way the finale handles this character, erenyeager, it blew my mind. So, this entire last season, leading up to this as well, Eren has become kind of like this cold, calculating monster who's going to destroy the entire world so that way his friends are safe and the people he cares about are safe. He deduces the only way to keep his people alive is by killing everybody else, basically. So that way, there's no one left, thus there's no war, there's no one to attack them anymore.
Makes sense. Especially the way that the story was written. The story was written in a kill or be killed fashion. He didn't have a choice. Hence him grabbing Hanji and asking, did she find another way? I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand the fucking... I don't understand that. That's what it was. He literally asked her to find him another way. That's the way the story was written. So he absolutely didn't have a fucking choice in that regard. He had to. I mean, hell, again, you guys seem to forget the fucking story. Even Hanji said it her fucking self.
この惨状を見ればお分かりでしょう。ああ、認めるよ。エレンに何の解決策も希望や未来を示せなかった私の無力さ。
And at its core, that is the exact same idea he had when he was a child. Kill all the Titans. But over time, it changes into kill everyone because it's the only way to keep the people I care about safe. He is still a raging child, fundamentally, with the same goals. And in the
no, he's not. Like, he is not a raging child. See, that's just why, guys, y'all need to go back through. I'm gonna be honest with you. Y'all need to go back through. And y'all need to reread or rewatch the series. And you guys really need to reread and rewatch the series. And you guys really need to take fucking notes. Because he wasn't a raging child who did that. He understood the consequences of his actions. He understood what was to be. He got that. Hence why he tried so desperately to not do the action of genocide. He did not want to do it. He apologized to Ramsay. He questioned the morality of his fucking choices. He wasn't a raging child. He understood that the gravity of this is way more, is so much more. He had to burden the shoulder and the load of this choice that he was making. He knew that. This is why he reverted back to his kid self when he was killing all of those people, because of the fact that he was repressing that. He was repressing the fact, and his mind snapped at the fact of killing all of these goddamn innocent people. He didn't want to. He already said, I'm not going to be forgiven for this. There's no redemption for me for this. He understood that. So he was not a raging child. There were situations that occurred that made this choice that way. They went over there to Marley to try to have the little meeting to sense so they could be okay and be like, hey, you gonna speak up for us? You gonna speak up for the island? Hell no. Them folks at that meeting, at that summit, was like, nope, the island devils need to die. That's where he first left them. Secondly, Willie Tiber declared war on them. And this is nations, guys. This is not just the Marlians that were there. This was other world leaders at that conference that Willie Tiber held. And he declared war, which ended in applause and people tearing up and crying. That's when he knew, shit, they ain't know I don't have a fucking choice now. I have to do this now. I have to. I don't have a fucking choice. So I'm confused as to how we're like, oh, he's just some raising lunatic child, and he just was like, I want to kill everybody. Oh, fuck, blah, 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 blah. No, like, that's what I'm saying. People did not understand the story. They don't understand nothing. They're just saying stuff because, again, he forgot. He forgot.
Finale, we finally get to see him, without the mask on. He no longer has that facade of being a stoic, uncaring menace. We get to see him break down, cry, and we get the whole kit and caboodle.
We saw that with Ramsey. We saw him break down and cry with Ramsey. We saw him twitch and be upset with Sasha. We saw that. We already saw him being mad and sad and out of it. We saw that. What the fuck are we talking about? We knew that he wasn't that stoic, like mustache twizzling villain. We knew that. We already got that. This is what I'm saying. You didn't understand the story. We got that.
When Armin talks to him, Eren reveals that he is still just a fucking idiot that found a lot of power. He even says that word. He says he is a garden variety idiot who fell into a lot of power. And
that was the difference in the manga. He didn't say that in the manga because it doesn't make goddamn sense. He wasn't no garden variety idiot. The reason that they put that in the anime, if you would have understood the story, was for damage control. Because that scene that was within the manga was worse. It was worse in regards to Armin's side of things, right? But that whole thing talking about I'm just dumb. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I just said, oh, there's no way of that. And this is why that fucking line was stupid. Because you weren't that. Because the reality is that you were a dude who used the power that you had to save the people that you loved. That's all that was. And you understood that and you ran with it from the beginning when you first attained the power of the Titan. You never called yourself an idiot. You were never like, oh man, I'm so stupid. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Can somebody help me? You were never that fucking person. You never were that person. The only problem that you had is that you didn't act on your own will. And you didn't act on your own power. You allowed other people to do it for you, hence Levi Squad. If you would have transformed sooner, you probably could have saved Levi Squad. They probably could have got away. But the reality is you didn't because you put your trust in their actions and in their abilities. And by so doing that, you learned a valuable lesson that I need to act on my own and I need to do and step up and do this stuff on my own. Same thing down below in where the royal family was at. When you were laying there and you were crying and shit, and they were like, get your shit together, you had to learn I'm not going to rely on my friends because if I relied on them, we all would have got fucking crushed. We all would have died down there. But I am going to act on my own stead and I am going to save my friends, right? That is what you learned. That's who you were. You were never a bumbling idiot who came into too much power. This is why we know you guys didn't understand the story. Because again, his actions throughout the story does not hold up against that statement. It doesn't. That's the problem. This is what we talk about when it comes to congruent writing. The things have to make sense. They have to add up. Him saying that he was a garden variety idiot and didn't know anything, and I was just somebody who came into too much power and I was just stupid, does not portray that in the previous chapter, all the way from chapter 1 to up until that point. It doesn't. So for him to say that yet again makes no sense. But people aren't going to look at it that way. People are just like, oh man, it's such a great ending. Oh man. But you guys aren't using objective skills. You guys aren't using deduction skills. You guys aren't actually understanding and using critical thinking skills. You're just saying, oh, it's a great ending. Oh, wow, great. But it wasn't, because you have to understand the character. That means you didn't understand the character of Eren. That's just what that boils down to. Now, I know I just went on a tangent and I went on that, but I'm kind of sick of that. I'm kind of sick of people saying that same stuff and not really understanding the concepts and the themes of the story and what they read or what they understood. Because again, they forgot. They understand it. They don't understand the nuances of the different conversations and the growth of Eren. They're just looking at Eren as, oh yeah, he was a crazy child. No, he wasn't a crazy child. Nor was he this, again, mustache twizzling villain who makes dramatic entrances. He wasn't that person. We knew that. We knew that he himself was just a teenager with the weight of the world on his fucking shoulders. And he had to make some tough fucking decisions that would overall break his mental psyche. We got that. We understood that. We totally got that. But you guys apparently didn't.
The answer he has to any of the problems in the world is rage. He says that he is a slave to freedom. He can't escape his very nature, which is just a dumb idiot whose only answer to anything is violence. He never changed.
But but that's the problem, though. His answer was not violence all the time. His answer was not that. I don't get it. I don't get it. He clearly cared about people. The man literally, again, something you guys forgot, the man literally was stopping Zeke from screaming so that Falco would not turn into a goddamn Titan. That doesn't sound like somebody who's just, I'm all about violence. I just want to kill things. If that was the case, he would have just killed everybody. He wouldn't have cared about anything. He wouldn't have apologized to Ramsey. He wouldn't have questioned what was to come. He wouldn't have been trying to find other ways to not do it. This is what I'm saying, man. These folks just... Fuck, man.
He has always been a kid, basically, who is having a temper tantrum. But he gets so much power that temper tantrum changes the entire world. And I've seen a bit of criticism over that scene, like, why would Eren start crying? This goes so against this character. And it's like you're not even watching the show, or you're watching it with just your brain turned off and clapping at all the flashing animation. Like, this is very in line with his character from the very beginning. He is the only character in the show that just doesn't change at all. His number one priority in the world was the...
What?!
I'm confused. Am I actually watching this? Did I just hear this man say that Eren was the only character who never changed? What? Bro, man. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know. I'm halfway done. I don't even know if I want to even finish this. I'm just being honest. I don't even know if I want to finish this. Because this is absolutely insane. Jesus fucking Christ.
The protection and safety of his friends, but he even admits in the finale that he got so lost and his brain so messed up from all of this power that he wasn't even sure if his friends were going to survive, to which he had so much regret. But one thing that I found extremely interesting here, and I can't help but draw a mirror to my favorite anime, well, what was my favorite anime. I think Attack on Titan is now going to be my favorite, because I really do think they did nail the ending. Code Geass. Code Geass ends, this is big spoilers, Code Geass ends with our main character Lelouch being the ultimate villain, the biggest villain the world has ever seen, and he allows a symbol of hope to kill him. It was all part of his plan. Him and his best friend Suzaku, who is now wearing the original disguise of Zero, who becomes a symbol of hope, stabs Lelouch publicly in front of everyone, killing him, thus ending the evil, this cycle of hatred. Right then and there, hope prevails, and Zero is the hero, basically. In Attack on Titan, Eren had a similar motive that he unveils to Armin at the end. He wanted to be the ultimate evil, which he was. He destroyed 80% of humanity in the fucking rumbling, literally trampling them under his feet. And he wanted Armin and Mikasa, all of them, to kill him so that they would be the heroes. They would be the most important people in history because they stopped Erenyeager, the ultimate destroyer. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And it, like, again...
Totally different scenario. See, and this is why, again, we know that you guys didn't truly understand the goddamn story. Because it's a totally different scenario. Because, again, when it came to the whole Code Geass situation, it was publicized. Everybody around the world saw it. That's why it made a difference. To where everybody around the world saw this. And they were like, damn, we see this Lelouch character getting killed by this Zero character. Great. Now we can rejoice because now this motherfucker is gone. Attack on Titan did not do that. There was only a handful of Marley motherfuckers, maybe like 10 people who saw this. Only 10. And even after they saw this, they still questioned. Yo, you motherfuckers are y'all still Titans. Can you prove it to me now? Can you prove this? Can you prove that you not a fucking Titan? But all it takes Armin to do is just be like, no, we good. I just killed him. We straight. We can't transform. It's cool. No way of proving it. But they just like, oh, okay. See, this is why we know that it was dumbass fucking writing. But again, once again, you guys don't truly understand it. Because you are not looking at it from the lens and you're not using deductive skills. You're not using critical thinking skills. You're not like, wait a minute, that doesn't make a lot of sense. That makes absolutely no goddamn sense, to be honest with you. Because, yeah, they saying that, but realistically, we have to put ourselves in that situation like, I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. You just turned into a Titan. You literally just turned into a Titan. And then all of a sudden, you just transformed back. You're saying Eren's dead. You're saying this crazy attack Titan is dead. But how do we know? How do we know he didn't transform and you're just trying to wait till the last minute or whatever? How do we actually know this? Hell, you were so skeptical about them when they said we could do a blood test. You said, hell no. We need proof right now. But the only proof you have is Armin just being like, hey, it was me. I killed him. Sorry. We don't know. I don't know you. I never seen you. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what we talking about. It was terrible. There was a difference, a huge, stark difference. The world was able to see Lelouch get killed. The world was able to witness this. There's only a handful of people that were on that goddamn mountainside who saw Eren die. They don't know that. Because hell, Mikasa ran off with his fucking head. That's what I'm saying. Come on, y'all. Come on, man.
It draws an obvious comparison to the way Code Geass ends, in my opinion. But I really think they fucking nailed that concept. And it's not like
that's why you like it.
Does...
This is why you enjoyed it, because you enjoyed Code Geass. So you're putting a biasness to Attack on Titan because it ended in a similar fashion. Very different, but similar in the sense of him wanting to be this world evil, right? So that's why you like it. You're not thinking critically. Moist critical. Use your critical thinking skills.
Feel like something Eren would want to do. And then when he gets all...
Again, don't remember, don't understand, don't get it. This man had a whole conversation in chapter 12 where they were on the wall and he was walking with Pixis. Had a whole dialogue with this man where Pixis literally gave the scenario of the final arc of Attack on Titan.
人類は種族や断りの違う者同士で果てのない殺し合いを続けていたと言われておる。その時に誰かが言ったそうな。もし人類以外の強大な敵が現れたら、人類は一丸となり争いをやめるだろうと。お主はどう思うかの？
そんな言い伝えがあるんですか？それは随分とのんきですね。あくびが出ます。
お主もわしと同じで品性がひん曲がっておる。
その強大な敵にここまで追い詰められた今でも一つになったとは言い難い状況だと思いますので。
And told Eren, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about a outside force, some outside thing coming in and destroying humanity? Would that get humanity to unite together? There's a legend that says that. What do you think of this legend? Eren literally said that is very optimistic and I think it's a bit rosy. Meaning, I think it's a bit stupid. I think it's a bit dumb for you to believe in that. And he said that with the example of we have that going on right now. A force outside of humanity, which is the Titans, and yet we're still having issues amongst us. We still haven't united. So what does that even mean? This is what he said. Literally verbatim. That he thought it was a rosy concept and very optimistic. He didn't like it. He said it was basically a stupid idea. And now you're saying, well, that sounds like something Eren would do. No, it's not. That's what I say. You don't remember. You don't remember. And we get you don't remember. But if you don't remember, my thing is don't sit here and have a review of something, right? Don't sit up here and have a review and tell these millions of people who follow you and watch you about this particular situation, and yet you yourself do not understand the entirety of the story. You yourself don't even remember situations like that, right? This is what I was saying. Dialogue that was lost to people because they don't remember it because they had to wait so long for the anime to be adapted. So they don't remember that. I'm quite sure he doesn't even remember that. I'm 1,000% sure that he does not remember that. Because if he remembered that, he would say, damn, doesn't make fucking sense. And you can't use the concept of, well, maybe he changed his mind. No, because you can't say maybe in a situation to where we're looking at the progression of the character on the page. You can't say maybe that because there will be evidence to show that. But there was no evidence to show that he changed his mind and thought that this was a good idea. It came out the blue. This is why we thought it was stupid. Because he was lying to himself and he was lying to everybody else. This man's whole inner monologue, inner conversation he had with himself when he was walking through the city before he saved Ramsay was that he said himself, you know what? The people of Paradise is in a sense of the numbers, based off the sheer numbers alone, we're a smaller group. So us passing away or us being wiped out would be easier because we're such a smaller group. It is what it is. But you know what? I can't accept that. I can't accept that end for us. He told himself that shit, but he was lying because it happened anyway. So whatever.
This power, he mentions that his mind is scrambled. It's a mess. Because with the power he has, he sees the past and the future all happening simultaneously. And it leads to him basically being this puppet master that makes sure that the future plays out the way that he's experiencing it in his head. And he says he's tried so many times to like change things, but it always plays out exactly the same. It's a really interesting explanation for how things work, but it does bring me to a criticism I have of it. The way they execute this exposition, I think, is way too jumpy. They jump all over the place abruptly. So it happens during a very climactic moment in the finale, and then it immediately starts jumping to start piecing together the puzzle of what the fuck is actually happening in terms of Eren's motivation, in terms of Ymir, in terms of everything overarching in the world, how it all takes form and shape. And I don't really like how much it jumps around. I think there definitely could have been a smoother way of doing it, so that way it wouldn't be as convoluted. Of course, it was always going to be a little complicated because of just how big the story is with so many moving parts. But I think by having it jump from different time periods, like Armin and Eren as kids, and now all of a sudden here's like an alternate reality that could have happened with Mikasa and Eren, instead of just jumping all over the place, if they had just streamlined that a little bit more to feed you these explanations, I think it would have just gone over better and would have led to a little bit less confusion. But it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's actually very aesthetically pleasing, and it's pretty beautiful, a lot of the places they revisit while doing this exposition. But I just think that it led to a little more confusion than it needed to. Now, while I do think it is a little hard to follow with all the jumpiness, what they actually deliver is extraordinary. So I mentioned that alternate timeline with Mikasa and Eren, and I think that is such an important thing that a lot of people are overlooking. So basically what happened...
It really wasn't a timeline, it was a memory. It was a memory that he gave her. I was thinking for the longest time that it was a timeline, but it was an alternate thing that could happen. But I'm starting to more believe that it was something that he gave her. Even though she said, like, hey, you remember everything? Like, she confirmed with Armin, like, hey, you remember all this stuff. So it was a vision that he gave to her. Basically, for the most part of him saying, let him go. That was what his vision was, for the most part, to say, hey, look, we did do what you asked. We ran away because this is what you told me during that sequence. And I live with regret and things of that nature, and everybody's still happening like that. So it wasn't a good idea for us to do this. But I want you to forget about me, basically, when I go. That was what that was. So,
in one timeline, Mikasa confessed her love to Eren, and it causes him to abandon the rumbling, no longer going scorched earth, and instead the two run away to a cabin to spend the last 4 years of Eren's life together. And what this showcases is that, well, Eren obviously saw what has and will happen, but Mikasa confessing her love is enough to get him to not go through with it. But by not going through with it, it doesn't stop death, destruction, and ruin from happening. It still happens, but Eren's not the one doing it, it's Marley. The choice was basically Eren commit genocide and save the people that he cares about, or do nothing, go live with Mikasa in a cabin, and let Marley commit genocide, and now the people he cares about are the victims. And they prop up so many mirrors to previously very important moments in the show during these sequences.
So again, the two options. He even doubled down on that. The two options that we already said, kill or be killed. But you all want to sit up here and say that he was a kid and he was a man child and he just wanted violence and shit like that. Your words are even you're conflating it. So whatever.
Sequences, and it's so unbelievably fucking beautiful and well done. It really is. But the important thing that this sequence highlights is that Mikasa not confessing her love to Eren is what allows him to go through with the rumbling. But he only ever had two choices, basically. Either he commits genocide or Marley. And the thing that basically decides that is whether or not Mikasa tells him that she loves him. So it just highlights the importance of her keeping her feelings to herself, because...
Sure. Okay. I give you that. So, since you said that now, you gonna go back on what you said earlier and previously? That's what I'm saying. Like, I think we're just saying stuff just because, but you're just literally going back on exactly what you just said. You were basically proclaiming that this man was a man-child and all he thought was violence, and he was still just a child in the end, just an idiot at the end, and all this stuff. But clearly he wasn't an idiot if he was able to manipulate and change these different timelines and do this stuff so many times and feed people memories and sit up here and do all this stuff to get to this particular point in time. You don't sound like an idiot to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest with you. But, hey, you're not going to go back on what you said because you probably don't even remember what you just said, too, in the beginning of this video. But, hey, it is what it is.
Because then Eren goes through with this plan. I don't want to get hung up just breaking down each incredible scene here, but I'll go ahead and summarize. I think what Attack on Titan has done is something incredibly special. That puts it up there with probably one of my favorite stories ever told in general. Again, this isn't just exclusive to anime. This is one of my favorite stories ever told. And the anime from start to finish, I think, encapsulates everything beautifully. Even if you just like action, Attack on Titan delivers in a big way. The finale has some of the best action sequences in the entire show.
I give you that.
In the finale, while they're fighting on the back of Eren, there's every other generation of Titan that's ever really existed, pretty much, getting thrown into the mix and fighting off our characters to protect them. It's really great fighting. It's beautifully animated. They didn't cut any corners. I love that. But it's more than just action. Attack on Titan just offers a really thought-provoking piece in a very, very beautifully constructed world filled with interesting characters. I love what they've done with it. And also the music to accompany everything from the very beginning of the show has been extraordinary, top-notch. In the finale, it's the same. Great soundtrack. It's just such banger, boner jam after boner jam. I think Attack on Titan is probably my favorite anime now. It's able to dethrone Code Geass, which has been my favorite for a very long time, but I am comfortable in saying that now at the very top for me is Attack on Titan. It's a show that means a lot to me. Again, this is one of the only shows I've ever watched like week by week as it's aired during its seasons, and now that it's concluded, it feels a little weird.
So you got biasness, and you got bias in there too. So it's like, look again, as I've said too, Attack on Titan was one of my favorites. I genuinely was on the train of Attack on Titan being the greatest anime ever made. If it would have ended the way I see it. If it would have ended that way, then yes, sure, I would have said this is the greatest anime ever in history. But it didn't end that way, and it had a lot of flaws, a lot of contradictions in the final episode and in that final chapter, all of that. But again, people aren't pointing that out because see, people are still feeling that nostalgia of this is what I grew up with. It finally ended. Oh damn, I'm sad. They're not looking at it from that objective lens of that deduction, using the deduction skills and using those critical thinking skills. They're not doing that. They're looking at it from a biasness of, oh man, it's so great and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, the animation was top notch. The animation was great. Soundtrack, always loved the soundtrack. As he said, from start to finish, loved it. But I can still critique issues that I see with it to the degree that I can say that it doesn't get that for me. It doesn't get a perfect 10 for me, to be honest with you. It just doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And I can genuinely say that, even though I myself, like him, watched it from the start, even went in so far as to read it because I couldn't wait. So, I'm a huge fan of it. But, hell, it's in my background. But I can still criticize it to the point to where I can honestly say that it was definitely not a 10. It definitely should have changed a lot of stuff. A lot of things were contradicted. The whole, even though I'm just going to add this in there, he didn't even mention it, him being the cause of his mother's death, dumb. Just a shock factor. I think it was just shock value. That's all it was. It didn't even have no reason to be put in there. He didn't have to do that because that question was already answered through Dina herself when she was on the port and they turned her into the Titan. She said, wherever you are, I'm going to find you. She's already a special Titan anyway because she's of royal blood. So it would make sense for her to go to his house and know exactly where he is and bypass everything to go to him. So it makes sense for that. So that's why I'm like, whatever.
Knowing that there's not going to be Attack on Titan, the final season, part 3.5, final chapters, part 1 of the final series, or whatever other wild naming scheme they would have come up with, it feels like a little upsetting. I've never really had that feeling of when you finish a really good series where you're like left a little upset about it. But now I get it. Like, seeing that this is concluded now is bittersweet, because I think it's a great, fitting, beautiful ending to an extraordinary show. But damn, you just always want more, I guess. But yeah, overall, I think this is a must-watch. I really do. I think even if you're not an anime fan, Attack on Titan is an absolute must-watch series. It's so fucking good, and I'm extremely pleased with the ending. I don't know what all the hubbub was about with the manga ending. Maybe they really made some missteps somewhere in there, but whatever missteps there were in the manga, they are not present in the anime.
There.
I can say that with confidence. So yeah, anyway, that's really about it. So yeah.
This is literally somebody I can say that did not really truly understand the story. I think he, again, as I said before, I think he, like most anime-only watchers, understood the story from the degree of the big parts that have happened, the big parts that occurred within the story. Like the scene of Erwin trying to charge in to save Eren, or Kenny versus Levi. I mean, Reiner and Berto's reveal of them being the Titans. That whole fight of them trying to get back to the basement. Armin dying. You got those parts because those were the big ooh-ah moments of the series. But you fail to see the nuanced conversations that were had that actually carry over to scenarios and situations towards the end. As you said, making a big fucking mistake. Talking about that, oh, this is just like Eren's character to do the sacrifice thing and be the one that does this. When in actuality, he was the one who said that was dumb to do. So how is that within his character when he himself admitted that was stupid to do? Right? That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't make sense. Then he himself is saying that he doesn't want to leave Paradise's fate up to chance. He doesn't want to do that. Because he knows that after all this stuff that I tried to prevent this, they're going to try to kill us. Hell, that was doubled down on, as he even said, in the whole Mikasa memory situation. Of him telling her, like, hey, Marley came to attack and all this stuff is happening. So you knew that was bound to happen. The two choices, like you said, kill or be killed. You knew this stuff was going to happen. But y'all want to sit up here and say that, that's his character to be the sacrifice guy. That's his character to do that. No, it wasn't his character. He literally lied and said that he wasn't going to leave Paradise's fate up to chance, but he did that. So this is the problem that we're saying that we have with the series. Like, don't sit here and be like, oh, it's a masterpiece, this shit is perfection, and when there were big gaping plot holes that occurred that just doesn't make fucking sense. Prime example, another big plot hole. Why did Grisha give him the attack Titan? Why? If he saw this sight, if he saw what it was so horrible that he told Zeke to stop this man, why did you give him the attack Titan? Right? But again, this idiot, this person who was just so messed up and didn't know what right from left was and this and that, was able to feed people information and different memories in order to suit his fucking needs. Hell, he even gave a memory to the idol. The idol was like, you need to save Mikasa and Armin. And he's like, who the fuck are those people? That's what I'm saying. So you're giving memories to these people within these fucking timelines in the past, but you're an idiot and you didn't know what the fuck was going on and you had no idea what to do. But you were able to manipulate things, as you said multiple times, to try this out and do this and blah, 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 blah. Come on, man. It doesn't make sense. Bad writing. It's bad writing. So, again, I get it. I can't keep saying that for people because, again, people need to take their own accountability and understand and say, you know what? Maybe there are some things that I forgot. Maybe there is some dialogue that was integral to the story that I forgot that now, once it's at the end and it's at its climax, doesn't make much sense. maybe I forgot about that stuff because, again, I had to wait so long for the adaptation of the anime. Y'all aren't taking that responsibility. Y'all are just looking at it and then y'all are like, oh, I don't even see what was wrong with that. I don't see what was wrong with the ending. I don't even see what was wrong with that particular scene of him crying and doing all this stuff. Again, nobody ever said that there was an issue with the man crying. The issue was the context of the cry. The context of his crying was related to him wanting to be with Mikasa in a romantic sense when there was no romanticism from his end about her throughout the entirety of the story. The only two instances you can kind of say is when he asked her what we are and the whole wrap the scarf around you every time. That's the only time you can say that. But that even wasn't nothing because she went in for a fucking kiss and he denied that shit. So again, doesn't make fucking sense. But hey, you know, it is what it is. In that moment, if all he was saying was like, hey, I don't want to die. I'm going to miss you guys. I want to be with you all and doing all this. And he included everybody inclusively to that. And that was the first thing he was saying at the breakdown point when he fell. Cool. I wouldn't have no issue with that because we can understand and empathize with that. This dude is still a young teenager with the weight of the world on his shoulders, wanting to save his friends and wanting to be with his friends and not wanting to die. I understand that. We can get that. But the whole Mikasa thing just didn't make sense. So that's what we're saying. There are so many nuances and so many things that just don't fucking add up. And then you're sitting up here and you alluded to the fact of him saying, oh yeah, I didn't even know if my friends were going to survive. So if you didn't even know your friends were going to survive that, then why even do it? If they were so precious to you, why even take that risk of having to go with the plan of involving them? You could have just took them out of it. If you cared about them so much, you could have just took them out of it. I'm going to save y'all by protecting y'all. You locked them up anyway, right? So here's my thing. You felt so, you were like, oh, I'm going to give you all the freedom to fight me. You all have the freedom to fight me, so I'm not going to take away your Titan abilities. But you had no problem having the Jaegers lock their ass up in cages. You know what I'm saying? Before, that took away their fucking freedom to even move around. You did that. You didn't give a shit. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. There's so many things that are so counterintuitive that it doesn't make sense. But again, this is people who don't really remember. They don't really understand. Their memories were wiped because of the length of time it took for the adaptation and the milking of Attack on Titan. So it is what it is. Like I said, I can use that as a cop-out for them only for so long. But you guys are going to have to step up and take accountability and say, you know what, there are things that I may have forgotten. There's stuff that may have done this. And you need to take your biasness out of it and you need to look at it from the objective sense of understanding. And you need to use critical thinking skills when it comes to the story. The story is by no means a masterpiece. It did not end well. I'm sorry, it didn't. You guys can say what you want to say, but it didn't. You guys are still so caught up in the hype of it because of the fact that it just ended recently and it was probably one of your favorites and you were biased towards it and shit like that. Same thing with me. It is one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites, but I'm not going to be biased to it. Now that it has ended, I'm going to also do a video on a series that is 1,000 times better and wrapped up 1,000 times better than Attack on Titan did. Right? I was waiting for the ending. I was hoping that there was going to be something different about the ending, which there were little tidbits they changed, but they overall still had the same ending. So it's fine. It's cool. But I'm taking my biasness out of it and I am looking at it objectively and I'm looking at it for what it is and what it was. And that's what I urge a lot of you to do. Use critical thinking, use your gray matter up top and look at it and use deductive critical thinking skills when it comes to assessing the story that was Attack on Titan. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I had to react to that. I heard that was crazy and he was saying certain things and it did not disappoint. He clearly didn't really remember a lot of things that was throughout the story. He's very biased towards it because Code Geass was one of his favorites, as he said. But seeing as how it ended similar to Code Geass, that's why he loves it so much. So it makes sense. He's being biased towards it. But it's fine. It's cool. That's his thing. That's his shtick. Let him have it. But again, guys, I appreciate you guys getting to this point, getting to the end. As usual, guys, go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also, go ahead and share the content as well as hit the notification bell so you guys are in the know of everything that is dropped on this channel. I appreciate you guys. And with that being said, guys, I'll see you all in the next one. And I'm out.